A good evening, everybody. How are you doing here on the Savage Patriots? We still don't have Lee. Lee's still sick. He
Mhm.
must have come down with that thing called white man disease or something. I don't know.
He couldn't man up like bro.
Yeah, he can't. He can't hang with the big dogs. You know what I'm
Hey,
saying?
hey, the big dog. I was
Let
sick
me
as
get.
hell doing
Let me get
podcast.
Facebook up in here.
But wish him well. We get well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
we
gonna
wish
get
him
it.
well.
Drink some egg drop soup, and you'll be
Get hey Lee, if you're listening, ginger tea. Um, and
sake.
yeah, I get.
Nah, for Koreans it's soju. So
Oh,
you need some
soju,
soju. Yeah.
soju. Yeah, drink some
get
soju.
yourself some elderberry drops and some
CMOS.
what's the other thing, the other drop that they do, eucalyptus.
Yeah, black
Yeah,
seed oil.
yeah, man, you'd be right as rain in about a few
Mm-hmm.
hours, trust me.
CMOS, black seed oil.
So
Don't
we're
take
gonna
night.
talk about
And
Sarah.
NyQuil.
Sarah, isn't her name Sarah? Sarah Huckabee. I'm trying to make her name sound exotic. Sarah Huckabee.
Sarah Huckabee.
Sarah Huckabee. She passed
Bye.
a legislation called Learns within the last year, and it has had mixed results in terms of people's taking of it. Some are upset at certain of the points in there, and some of them are of the opinion that it's just a little too. What's that word you use, Coy? It expects too much of people.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's the
yeah.
bigotry of low expectations.
There
That's
you
what it
go.
is.
That. So there are two sides fighting, and the middle ground people are kind of just okay with it either way. But we'll break it down and
Mm-hmm.
see if this is something that's going to end up biting people in the butt, if it's good, if it's bad. Um, we'll give our 2 cents and go on. Um, we have her take on it first, so we'll listen to what she says, and then we'll go forward.
That we bring in Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who just released her education plan that includes raising teacher pay, giving parents vouchers so that they can choose where they want to spend their tax dollars on the school that they think their child should attend. Governor, good to have you with us today. Welcome to the program. Tell us, obviously you identified a crisis situation really in Arkansas. It was ranking near the bottom of the states in the country,
I can attest
and
to that.
also below average in terms of the national averages. So what are you going to do about it?
One of the things that we noticed very quickly is that Arkansas is in the bottom in all the places we want to be in the top. When it came to teacher pay, we were 48th in the country. When this legislation passes, we will be in the top 5 in the country, making us competitive with nearly every state in the country to recruit and retain the best and brightest teachers across the country. We want to make sure we're actually empowering parents by giving them educational freedom accounts that allow them to make the best decision about where and how their kids should be educated. No child should be trapped in a failing school just because of their zip code or their parents' bank account. We want to make sure every student in the state has access to that high quality education. What they're doing in California and places like New York is absolutely absurd. We should never bring down the high achieving students. Our focus should be on how do we bring those other students up. And that's what our focus is here in Arkansas. We're making sure that we are putting the resources and the training needed to improve our literacy, to improve our mathematics scores. This will be the biggest overhaul in education, I think, anywhere in the country, certainly in my home state of Arkansas. And we look forward to setting the standard on how this can be done right and being a blueprint for other states across the country to follow.
Governor, obviously one of the biggest problems is the learning loss during COVID, which was extraordinary. And, we've talked a lot here on this program about the need for a program, really, whether it's state by state or across the country, to catch these kids up. How do you identify who is behind and by how much, and where are you going to find all of these extra literacy coaches that you want to bring in for extra help?
We know that these coaches exist. Our state is planning to hire directly through the state 120 literacy coaches with intense training to help catch those kids up. It's not a matter of if we want to do it. It's absolutely necessary that we meet these students' needs and that we do a better job preparing them for a pathway to prosperity. And right now, we simply aren't doing a good enough job. This is one of the areas we certainly can see improvement and have in other states. And we're going to make sure we do a course correction and put these kids on a better pathway.
It looks like you're in pretty good shape to get this through the state legislature. It doesn't keep the Democratic Party of Arkansas from pushing back, though, and they're calling this a scam. Is that a union response that you're seeing there?
I think this is the left mad that they're losing control of the system. What is a scam is keeping kids in a broken system. What is a scam is spending more than half of our state's budget and not seeing our students do better year after year. We're pouring more and more money every year, but getting worse results. We absolutely have to have major reform and an overhaul. That's exactly what Arkansas Learns legislation does. I look forward to seeing it passing. And more importantly, I look forward to seeing our students passing on through the education system and going on to being contributing members to their community.
Well, there's crisis all across the country, and students have fallen so far behind. So we look forward to seeing this program in action, Governor. And, you know, if it is a successful program, it certainly should be a blueprint that other kids can benefit from and other states can as well. It's good to have you with us, Governor. Thank you very much. We look forward to
Thanks for having
talking to you soon.
I know this is an old interview, but I mean, they already passed it and everything she said they did. So.
So let's break it down real quick. Unfortunately for me, what I think it reminds me a lot of, and I know they're trying to use it as a base model because it seems a lot like it, but trying to make it work better, which is the No Child Left Behind thing.
Yeah.
And I did not fully agree with how they implemented the No Child Left Behind because what the No Child Left Behind brought in was, like you said at the beginning, this expectation of everybody being equal, and everybody's not equal. I think the better result would be to have remedial courses for people who are struggling, pay for the after school courses if they need to, but you can't expect everybody who's performing at a higher level to be put in the same location as the dummies. And I'm sorry, some kids are just slow, and that's okay to say. You could need some help. Heck, I was one. I fell behind. I wasn't the best college student. I was really great in my elementary and, you know, just after, but I started to slack off and my grades suffered. But I wasn't expecting everybody else to come down to my level so I can feel better about how stupid I was. That was not what the teachers did. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that is actually in this bill, because I read most of it and skimmed through the rest of it before the show. The thing that they do is they do allocate funds for additional tutoring. They also, here's a really good thing. One of the programs that they instituted with this bill is the fact that you can get diplomas for career ready paths, is what they're calling it. So things like being a welder, right? Trade schools are included on this as being a graduation requirement. Not only that, getting credits for community service is another great point that they put in there. So actually like helping your community can help you get credits towards graduation as well.
And that is something that they did when I was in high school. Because when I was in high school, we had things like welding, we had wood shop, we had electronics, we had mechanic shop. If you did community service, you would get credits for doing things on the weekends at, you know, at the local Boys and Girls Club. You volunteered, you would get credits. And at some point, all that just went away.
Yeah, so they're kind of bringing it back. But this time, like the career-ready pathways that they're talking about isn't just included just trade schools. We're talking any job, as the State Board of Education has determined, is able to get a path to a career right out of high school, right? So start making money. So you don't need to necessarily go to college. These are pathways for people who aren't for college, which we know there's tons of people that are like that, right? So they're never going to go to college. We know they're never going to go to college, but these things are career-oriented fields that get them diplomas faster so they can start working and making money. That's the point of that. There's another one where if your school, like all the things that they're talking about with failing schools here, we're talking about C schools and below, right? Like if you're below a C in grade, like for your entire school, like that's a failing school. If you're not even above a C as a school, you suck. And so it allows parents to choose where their kids go to school. That's the best thing they can absolutely do. So like instead of keeping money in failing schools, especially in the cities, which is what they say is going to harm black people, right? It's like they're going to harm all these black kids because all the white kids are going to flee and take them to the better schools. So it's like, well, yeah, you can too, because it gives you a choice of where you want to put your kids in school. And if your school doesn't have a program that your kid wants to take, you can take them to another school or even have the state pay for them to take a different course at a different location, as long as they're accredited, right? So if your kid wants to take an AV course, but your school doesn't offer an AV course, they can go somewhere else for it.
Yeah, and again, like when I was coming up through high school, I was the only kid that went to a different high school from all the other kids that lived in our household. There was about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of us. So I was the only one that went to a school further away from my house, even though it was in like Long Beach district, school district. It was further out. I had to catch a bus. It was like a 30-minute ride to my school, and I was the only one that went to that school. And the only reason I can say my grandparents sent me to the school because of academia. You know, I was more level-headed when it came to academia. And I ended up getting a scholarship and I ended up doing all this. But to your point about, you know, trades and training people to do things in high school to go into the workforce without going to college and be able to learn a trade, it was almost like, you know, same thing as when I went through ROTC. You know, I went through ROTC for 3 years. Then when I got out, I joined the military. When I went to the military, they credited that time I studied ROTC in high school. So I was credited a few ranks, and you know how that works. I was credited a few ranks into school. So it should be the same concept. So if a student decides in high school, I want to go to this school because they offer this program and it's better education, I want to be a welder. Oh, they have a welder program there. You take welding for 3 to 4 years, you get a certain certification, and it helps you get into the workforce.
Yeah. And that's the point of the program too. And it's like, I get where most people say it's like, oh, well, most people, the people that can't afford to actually drive their kids to these places, right? It's like, you know what? This is the why Asian families do much better, because they will go above and beyond to get their kids in the best school. Like if you're complaining that you have to drive an extra hour out of your way to give your kid the best education, you are failing as a parent. I'm sorry. Like that's a hard reality check for you.
Let's take a look at her actual program. This is called literacy, empowerment, accountability, readiness, networking, and school safety, is what learns mean.
Yeah.
Partner with those closest to children in classrooms. Know how many kids already have a seat. Define excellence, and I think that's probably the best one right here. A lot of schools do not have a definitive marker for requirements anymore. It is such a free-floating environment anymore that there is, if you fail or you don't fail, it's all hunky-dory as long as you know you're trying. And I don't agree with that. You're trying business. There's a goal, hit it. Period.
Yep.
Equip every K2 classroom with material aligned with science and reading. Provide teachers with HQIM training. Deploy coaches to targeted schools, simplify the literacy screening program, empower families to support early literacy at home. Parents should be doing that regardless. Didn't need the school to tell you. I know we all are busy, but teaching your kid to read can be difficult. I know, because my 8-year-old took his time trying to, but once he got it, he got it. My 13-year-old, when he started to read, he started reading and he was gone. Like he started at 3. And once he got it, he was gone. All of them learned to read. My 8-year-old was the one that took the most time because he just wasn't interested. But it wasn't that he was a dummy. He just wasn't interested.
Yeah.
But I think most family needs to push that reading thing. Ensure pre-service teachers are trained on science and reading. The science of reading. That's not. Make it easy for districts.
Close reading.
What's that?
It's the idea of close reading. Just because you read something doesn't mean you retain something. So
Right.
Close reading is the understanding the things that you're reading.
Comprehension is what we used to call it back in the day.
Yeah.
Do you comprehend what you read?
Reading comprehension. Yeah. Science of reading. Yes, that's what.
That's all they're trying to tell me. They're trying to make it sound all cool. Ain't no science to reading. If you can't understand it,
Comprehension.
then you're not reading. That's all I know.
That's right.
Make high. That sounds like RC Dubs.
Sounds
Make high
familiar. I was going to
quality.
say that.
Make high quality literacy and numeracy intervention accessible for all.
Yeah.
So far, nothing wrong.
No, okay, so here's the thing. A lot of what is in this bill is like a lefty's wet dream when it comes to education. But because Sarah Huckabee Sanders is the one pushing it forward, they think it's bad. Just like if Donald Trump did the exact same thing, they'd be like, no, this bill is bad because Donald Trump's doing it. It's like, but we're giving you everything that you want. It's still bad.
Right. Streamline charter application and process, improve charter policies. Strengthen the system that measures how school and districts are performing. I agree 100% with that. If we're not monitoring it, you're going to get all kinds of crap pushed through. Accountability. Launch teacher residencies. Ensure that all Arkansas teachers candidates complete 1-year teaching residency alongside a skilled mentor. I like that idea. That used to be a normal thing when you were getting your teacher's degree back in the day. You had to do in-class assessments. You had to teach the class, go actually into a person's class and teach almost for a full semester.
It was called student teacher.
Student teaching, yeah. That's what it used to. You had to pull that off. And if the teacher came back and said, nope, then you don't get your degree. It was that's how it used to be. I only know because I went through the teaching program. I was going to become a teacher, and then I said, I'm not doing it. I couldn't.
Not everybody's built to be a teacher. It just
didn't have the patience for it, man. I wanted to smack kids so bad, like I did.
It takes
everybody getting whippings up in here. Everybody getting whippings
all around. Waive initial licensing fee for first-time teachers.
That's also good. It incentivizes people to be teachers.
Increase licensing transparency and efficiency, and update workforce management provisions. Support the local school boards and okay. So school boards for me kind of.
The whole idea behind a school board was the fact that parents were supposed to be involved in the process.
It's moved from that now.
Yeah,
it's moved a ways away.
One thing.
Position. That's what happened.
Yeah, one thing. I don't know if you're done reading the bill, but one thing that I would propose is parent incentives. For education. Because you can tell based on some kids, you can tell if the parents are actually sitting at home and helping them through their homework or whatever when they need it. And if you have a kid that is straight A's, give the parent an incentive, not money, but something, to kind of get the parents more involved. Because I think the biggest issue, especially in today's society, is involvement. When I was coming up, my grandparents raised me, and my grandmother was very involved in my education, very, very involved. And nowadays, a lot of times parents can't do it.
Yeah, here's what I was talking about: career ready pathways.
Yep. This is the readiness pathway. And so build career-ready pathways to a diploma, align student success plan with career-ready pathways, and conduct an annual audit of the state's career pathways.
That's great. And with that career pathway, it should almost be like a sports, what do you call it? Scholarship, when they get scholarships to play football or basketball or something. So if you're in this school and you're not an athlete, but you're good at, let's say again, welding, and you go through all the stuff, you got good grades, you do all this stuff, and you're welding and all this stuff, you can apply for some type of scholarship.
Yeah.
And it kind of gives kids that incentive. Like, if I keep doing this and I want to be a welder, but I have to get good grades and they're going to pay for the rest of my schooling after this, it gives them that incentives. But right now, what type of incentive is there outside of a diploma?
Yeah,
there is no incentive.
Well, that's what this program is supposed to help alleviate. Is one of the languages in the bill when it's talking about the career pathways is doing it earlier. Like, we're talking freshman year of going to like a career counselor and saying, hey, what would you like to do? And try to point them in the right direction of the things that they're interested in. Yes. And so they can get to a job that'll get them right out the gate. Instead of being, 18 with no job, they have an already career idea of what they're doing once they get out. So they already have a program that's already put guardrails essentially on them to the pathway that they're wanting to do. And so
Right.
when they have a better chance of succeeding once they get out of school instead of just languishing into nothing, which is what happens to a lot of younger people today.
This one here is a okay. I'm coming from a different location for this one. Okay, just so people know. Expand high-speed internet to make educational and career opportunities accessible. Arkansas students require access to high-speed internet and quality networking to build a skill to succeed in tomorrow's workforce. Arkansas leads the nation in these initiatives as one of only 3 states who can provide a broadband speed of 1 megabyte per second per student to nearly 100% of the school districts across the state. Arkansas also has made major strides in broadband access to in recent years by decreasing cost by 57% since 2018.
Yeah.
Um,
You got to think of the amount of rural places that are in Arkansas. That's
oh,
one
I
that
know.
think is-
I've lived there. I understand it. I
Well,
think
for
this
those
is
that don't,
unfortunately, I think this is one step that seems really good, but is government intervening into everyday human life that we may not see. So now, if the government is given charge over private companies doing broadband, there's a problem. There's a big problem, especially if they get to control the cost of it.
yeah,
It's one step, I think, too far. Now, if you incentivize businesses to give a cheaper price, but they still get to control the price, I think that would be much better than dictating what they should and shouldn't and putting these arbitrary rules on them. And you have to have internet out this place. And if the person now, because when you do that, now you also have to have the company have service technicians to go out there too. And if that's not what they were planning to do, and you're not helping me get to that point, you see the cascading effect is what I'm talking about. Because having worked in that arena, you have okay, so it's not just put internet in a house.
Yeah.
Okay, you have truncations that you have to do, especially for that high speed. You need either fiber optic to do it, and you have to have, of course, the materials to do it. But if the government is doing it, then you're beholden to the government for what you can and can't do with it and where it can and can't go.
That's government contracting.
Yeah,
period.
and so I don't know if I'm a huge fan on that one just yet.
I don't have enough expertise in that. I only hear faster internet good, but like that's just my personal opinion.
Internet is one of the more complex things out there because it takes a while to be done, to get it up and running. It takes a bit to learn how to terminate fiber optic and even run it to homes, especially if you're doing that. It's a robust field, and only so many companies do it. Some companies do it, and they'll eventually go out of business, especially if the government is going to a bigger company that only does network. It'll push somebody who does network, phone, and say they do security. Now they've just limited their ability to do, because not everybody can service anybody's account. So now if you have an account through Livewires, and that's not an actual name of a bandwidth company, but you have and you work for a small company named JNC. JNC can't just go and service Livewires cables, even though JNC might be the closest. So you've just robbed somebody, Peter, to pay Paul. And it's, to me, if you leave it to the company to make their prices, then the one that has the better price gets the service. I just don't see why you need to make it a forced thing to have people pay a certain amount. That's just me, though.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of a slippery slope. I'm not saying it won't work. I'm just saying it's a little bit of a test. And then finally, school safety. Distribute funds for improvements in safety measures. Expand new safe schools unit to support districts. Develop best practice crisis response plans.
which is in the first part of the bill. When you read it, it's a lot of the safety measures, and what they're talking about with a lot of it is the fact that they're putting more training for school resource officers and also putting more emphasis on mental health training for dealing with youth. That's like the big thing. And then also, having more instead of audits, having more assessments every couple of years for safety and all the like. So it's really heavy. I'm like, really very dry part of the bill.
Yeah, I'm still leaning towards making school safety not the implementation of any biometrics or locking doors, but having volunteer defenders on the school grounds. And I think the best people for that are former military. Do you know how many former military would actually be jumping at the opportunity to do something positive in their community? I mean, it's amazing how many you can find. And you pay them a stipend more than and you don't take away what they're getting from the government. You add to it. You pay them to patrol. And I think you'd find a whole lot more peaceable schools. I mean, that's just me.
Yeah.
You do the mental eval. You'd so you'd make a great candidate.
Yep.
No?
But
the people that oppose this bill are people like the one I'm going to show you.
Oh man.
All right, let's hear it.
Let me guess.
And when you
a white liberal.
No, might as well be. But when you hear their argument, I want to get your viewpoint about whether or not this makes any sense, okay? Because it didn't make any sense to me at all. Like zero.
Let me get my liberal translator out real fast.
Yeah. Who's that? It's your boy.
Johnson.
Why? Okay, I'm just gonna say this, and I wanted it's an honest reaction, but why do they always do the whole gold everything?
African, because it's African.
It's such a stereotype. It's annoying. You know what I mean?
Listen, they don't even know what tribe uses what color. They just pick something that they think is African.
Yeah, they're Egyptians, Africans, Indians, Vikings. I don't know. And then they, just point something out real fast.
It's just like it's to the point of like, why? I mean, are you trying like to do that on purpose? Like,
yes.
It has to.
Yeah, they are. He's got the king photo back there. Like, I just don't understand. In God we trust. They talk so much about the Christianity being a white man's religion and all that, but they got it back there.
That's the dumbest thing. The first Christian nation in the entire world was Ethiopia.
Thank you.
Like, that's not even historically true. Like, oh my.
But I want to hear what he has to say. Let's see this.
Oh yeah, you may regret saying you want to hear it. Just so you know.
All right.
Okay.
That ain't fair. Why would I go to white people, understanding how ruthless and unfair they are anyway, and ask them to prepare my son and daughter to compete equitably with their son or daughter? When you ask a white person to educate a black child, you're asking them to make sure your child can compete with their child in the job market, in the business market. It's not fair to do that. The members of one race should never be entrusted with the education of the children of another race, because whoever teaches the children dictates the future. The question becomes, why are we not building our own schools? That's the biggest question.
But that's what you're advocating. Like, how does that not like get across to people's head? It's like you were saying that Jim Crow was right. Like that's all you're saying is like all of those rules they had back in the day were right. We should keep our kids separated from each other and they shouldn't learn together ever. Like, come on.
So is he keeping that same energy for black educators teaching white kids when he said no other race should teach another race how to compete?
I'm sure he did that.
So it's only for white educators teaching. But if other races teach white kids, because there are a lot of black teachers out there teaching white kids and kids, right? That's okay though. Oh, okay. And hold on, that made my eye twitch a little bit. Sorry. Isn't he supposed to be building a school?
He's supposed to be.
Oh, okay. I was just saying, what happened?
He's going to violate the Civil Rights Act by doing it, so it's okay.
Hey, you know what a fun fact is? Did he realize that Frederick Douglass was a sellout and he married a white woman?
Yeah. But like I said, like these people are also the ones that believe in race mixing being bad, and they got to keep the black line pure, right? Like they'll say it exactly like that, unironically, like they were. If you just said it with a little bit of twang, we got to keep the white race pure. It's the same thing as we got to keep the black race pure. It's the same thing, man. It's the exact same thing.
Oh, trust me, it gets much worse. Much
let's
worse.
hear this buffoon.
When I say worse, I mean it to the point where it will frustrate the mess out of you. Okay, just listen carefully.
Who is this guy
Now,
to the right?
charter schools, they're still public. So for me, that's not much progress because the government decides whether you live or die. They can shut you down whenever they want. The school we have in Wilmington, Delaware, that was a charter school started by Black folks. And guess what? They got accused of financial mismanagement and extremely low test scores. They shut them down. If they don't get shut down, we don't get that building. I used to be a charter school principal and vice principal. I know the hoops you got to jump through in order to keep them schools open because charter schools were founded by white folks who wanted to separate their kids from Black children but couldn't afford the private school. So the charter school became the school in between. You see that? The school in between. We can't afford to pay $20,000, $30,000 a year for private school tuition. So they made a deal with the state legislature, and I believe Minnesota was the spearhead of this. And you know, Minnesota is all white. So they said, we're going to come up with something called charter. It's run by the community, but it's still funded by the state. That's what a charter school is. It's run by the community. It's still funded by the state. We have no control over those. Our original fight was what? Community control of the public schools. Remember that? Back in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. We said we want to control the school, right? We have final say over the principal. We have final say over the dean. We have final say over the curriculum. We have final say over the student code of conduct. We should have never gave that fight up. Why did we give it up? Thirsty Negroes love money more than freedom.
Like Umar, you know, he loves money more than anything else. Isn't he the same guy that wanted people to come work at his school for free?
Yeah,
isn't that the same guy? Isn't it the same guy that was out here grifting for $3 million or something to start a school? Isn't that the same guy?
Yeah.
Isn't that the same guy that took all that money and didn't actually finish the school?
Wait, you forgot one important thing. He also couldn't get it done until he hired white contractors.
Look, didn't he just say, why would you hire the devil knowing how ruthless they are? Nick, bro, you hired the ruthless people and they got the job.
Break down something else he said. He said charter schools are created by white people so that they wouldn't have to go to school with Black people. But right before that, he said that white people shouldn't be teaching Black people. So if white people are teaching Black people, but then all these white people decide to go to a charter school and teach their own at a charter school separate from Black people, what's the problem?
Thank you.
Exactly.
Well, he'll tell you. He will tell you right now.
Okay, what's the problem?
White people money. That's what it is. It's the white people.
No. You ready for the real reason he's gonna give?
Let's listen.
I don't think you're ready for the real reason.
I ain't ready. My eyes gonna start twitching again.
Oh, I might pop out your head, bro.
Oh, shoot.
Okay, here we go.
They heard about the charter school movement and they said, wait a minute now, this charter school thing ain't bad. If I get a charter, I can pay myself $150,000 a year as the CEO. Hire Bigger to be the principal. He doing all the work, but guess what? I can still legally be paid as the CEO because I'm the founder of the school. So once a lot of the community control of the public schools activists found out they could get a check, a salary from the charter school movement, you ain't heard another word about community control. Everybody ran out to the charters. And the danger of the charter movement is charter schools pick and choose their students. Legally, they're not supposed to do that. Legally, everybody's supposed to get raffled in. I work in charter schools. Let me tell you the real deal.
Hold on now. Hold on. Did you hear what he said? Okay.
He talked crap about a charter school, but he worked in a charter school.
Telling on himself.
Not just that. He said he knows how it works, and they don't do the raffle, which means he never did the raffle.
Nope.
He picked this because he said he was a principal.
Yep.
Which tells me you were in charge, right? That's in charge? Okay. Okay.
Did he just call himself the CEO of a charter school?
Yes.
Look.
Okay.
This is here's another point. Okay, so does that mean that all the counties and cities that are run predominantly by Black folk, they don't have community control over their schools? I want to ask that question of him. It's like, do they not control those schools? Like those predominantly black areas that have nothing but black administrators and mayors
That's
and
different.
chiefs of police and everything else, like they're not in community control of their own schools.
That's different.
Okay. Just wanted
Yeah,
to
Much different. You just don't know what you're talking about. But like I said, I had to pause it, but he goes further,
Mm.
much further.
They handpicked the kids off the waiting list who got the highest test scores. You see that? So the children who really need the school the most, who really need the guidance the most, they not getting into them schools. And the reason why you see so many charter schools in black neighborhoods is because charter schools are the face of gentrification. Let me say that one more time.
Listen.
Charter schools are the face of ethnic cleansing. I'm gonna give it to you like this. There's a section of the Bronx that's heavily black. There's a section of Newark, New Jersey. It's heavily black. There's a section of Houston, Texas. It's heavily black. There's a section of Harlem. It's heavily black. We got to get them Negroes out. This is what we're going to do. We're going to let white folks open up a charter school, but we're going to let a black person front it, i.e. Sean Puffy Combs. We're going to let a black person front the charter school, right? Most of the teachers is white. Most of the staff is white.
Wait for it.
Faculty is white. You got black in there, but there's a lot of white folks working in these charter schools in the black community. They move into Harlem.
Mhm.
They move into Brooklyn.
Mhm.
They move into Philly. They buy up all the real estate. See that? They buy up all the abandoned buildings, renovate them, fix them up. Property tax goes up. And guess what? All them black kids who go to that charter school, their parents can't even afford to live in a neighborhood no more.
Now, my question before you explode, here's my question. In what reality do teachers and principals have enough money to go and buy all the abandoned buildings in any city to be able to flip them, sell them to the point where they'll sell them to only white people, who then to have the black people get kicked out because they've just what salary do teachers have to make to do that?
Here's another question. In what reality does a school teacher in New York make enough money to buy property?
Any property.
Like, that's my question. Is like, I don't know any school teacher that could afford property in New York City. I'm sorry. Like, that's just a reality here. Unless they're a private school teacher who's getting Ivy League parents, like alumni parents that are paying them hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, they're not making that much money. I'm sorry.
Hilarious to me.
And he said they're buying up abandoned buildings
And flipping them.
and flipping them. So Umar, what are they supposed to do with those buildings?
Let them stay that way.
Just let them rot. Just let the building sit there and rot. Nobody should come in, move in, bring some money to those neighborhoods. Sorry, the price goes up, but guess what? The value of that neighborhood has gone up also. These people, I swear.
This isn't supposed to be racist. People take it out of context. Here it is. These are the same type of people that complain when CVS takes CVS out of the neighborhood because they have too many robberies. And they say, but the community needs it. Well, we can't keep our doors open because people keep robbing it.
But
what am I supposed to do?
But he said that about his school.
Yeah. But he also said this, that the majority of charter schools have black people in it, black kids in it. Right? And it's like, wait, so are you saying charter schools are good or bad? Because if they're the majority of them are black kids in there, what's the problem? If the charter schools actually have it, then that means they're doing good, right? No, it's because they're being taught by white
Here's
teachers.
what else he says later on, but I don't want to hear him anymore. This is what he says. He says that the reason why charter schools are performing at a higher level is because what they do is they bring in the better students and kick out the worst student, which is who, in his mind? The black ones, right?
Oh, yeah.
So he is admitting by nature that black people are stupid, is what he's saying. You cannot put them in a charter school and then be the top of the class. This is what he is saying. Because in order for them to get better results, if there are black people there, the better results are coming from the white students, not the black ones.
Yeah. I got a question here. Has he ever met a very, very poor Southern white man before?
No.
Because
there are no
I can tell you there are some dumb ones out there, and you know them when you see them.
Yeah, there's dummies in every single race. So, his statement alone, he contradicts everything he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks in circles, and he doesn't catch what he says when he says something over here, and then he'll say something over here, but it doesn't match what he said over there. He talks in a circle, man. He's like,
He contradicts himself
too many
all the
black
time.
kids, and they're kicking black kids out because they're not smart enough.
I still go back to the whole concept that he has, and this is part. We're talking about schools, okay? So just we're not left the topic, but his concept that giving parents choices outside of public schools, but you're still saying that the public schools are okay because they're not charter schools, but putting into people's minds that the charter schools a bad idea because black people can't keep up is by nature telling the people that you're talking to that black people cannot keep up. So how is you starting a school going to be able to bring them up? Like what? Okay, and I is what his answer will be. Well, we will have black teachers who can help them better because they'll know how to talk to them.
Yeah.
My question then is this: are they only going to be dealing with black people when they leave school?
No.
So you're putting them at a further deficit, and you're making their talents useless because if they are going to go to work, they either have to start their own business or work for only black people, which is what he really wants. But if they do have to work for white people, you have just put them behind the 8 ball because they have no idea how to interact.
That's
None.
right.
And you're going to push them to a further deficit by encouraging them to be dumb around white people and angry around white people. So they will never go to white people for a job. You know what they're doing? Staying home and gangbanging anyway.
Here's the thing: is like if you take most of the things that he says and just slap whiteface on him, right? It would sound super white supremacy.
Ultra racist.
It would be like everything that every white supremacist you've ever heard has said, right? It's like black people are too dumb to succeed. They don't match. We should separate our children from them, right? All the things he says are exactly the same thing that they were fighting in the 60s that he wants to bring back, but just put a black face on it instead of a white face on it.
Right.
That's the only difference.
In his mind, he doesn't want equality. He doesn't want education. He wants equity. He wants a participation trophy. So he's like, all these black kids are going to go to school regardless of what their grades are. We're going to pass them anyway, and then they're going to get out in the real world and they're going to figure out that equity doesn't really exist out there. It's all performance based. So in his pro-black mind, black people, no matter how poorly they do in these schools, they should get a pass because they're black. And this is why we want black educators in there, because black educators are going to understand these young black kids, and they're going to understand that they're not as smart as these white kids, like he likes to say, and they're just going to pass them. That's what we want.
That's so dumb.
It's the dumbest thing ever.
And I brought him into the conversation for this reason, because she's minusing things like CRT from the classroom.
Which I have language for.
Fully agree, because it shouldn't belong in there. But what you'll start seeing is the people like him combating that by saying, oh, you're trying to put the kids at a deficit. But if you listen to him, he aims to make CRT the only thing taught in school. I have not yet heard him speak about math scores, English scores, anything. He's always talked the social aspect of school, never the educational portion. Never.
Mm-hmm.
So here's one of the actual bill says that they're fighting against, right? Is indoctrination. That's how it's titled. So what they want to do in this section is to make sure that contractors, guest speakers, and lecturers are in compliance with Title 9 and Title 6 of the Civil Rights Act. So let's see, promote indoctrination. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so steps under the subdivision of this section shall include the review of rules, policies, materials, and communications of the Department of Education, and to identify any item that may purposely or otherwise promote teaching that would indoctrinate students with ideologies such as critical race theory, otherwise known as CRT, that would conflict with the principle of equality, equal protection under the law, or encourage students to discriminate against someone based on the individual's color, creed, race, ethnicity, sex, age, marital status, familial status, disability, religion, national origin, and other characteristics protected by federal and state law. So
yeah, it takes the crap out of school.
Yeah, but it goes on to say specifically that they're not allowing anybody to discriminate based on the race, color, sexual orientation, all this stuff. You can't do any of these things to anybody. They even make sure to mention it specifically that based on an individual, an individual should be discriminated against or receive adverse treatment solely or partly because of an individual's color, creed, or race, so on and so forth, or any characteristics protected by federal state law. It doesn't, and it also doesn't prohibit the discussion of it either. That's the thing, is they're saying they're going to stop them from talking about it. It's like, no, it even specifically says that you can talk about it, right? But you can't discriminate based off of somebody's race. It just uplifts the Title IX and Title VI.
Isn't that old? That goes back to 1965, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that's what that did. I thought we had that already as a mantra to not do. And that's just me. I mean, I thought we had said that we weren't going to be doing that, but now it's almost become like, yeah, we said we weren't going to do it, but now we got to do it. We're going to do it now.
This is the world we live in, man. It's almost like, and you see it, we all see it, that are, that pay attention. We're going backwards.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They want to call it progress and progressivism, whatever you want to call it, progressives, but it's not progressive. It's very regressive. What you're doing to these kids who didn't experience all this. This is all baby boomer stuff. Even for our generation, Generation X and these elder millennials, we didn't experience a lot of the stuff these baby boomers went to. And we weren't really taught a lot of it. We were taught history and we knew that certain things happened, but it wasn't indoctrinated in our head that this race of people are bad, these people are this, these people are that. So what they're doing now with this generation is they want to revert back all the way back to the 60s and talk about that and indoctrinate these kids to think that generations before you was born, all of this happened, and you should hold these people that had nothing to do with it accountable. And this is what CRT is going to do. CRT is going to do nothing but cause division. And it may not twist all the students' mind, but it's going to be a select group, because at the end of the day, what they're trying to build a group of activists. That's it. They want more activists, and if they can push this CRT, they can create more activists.
Well, here's another thing of the section. It says that the prohibited indoctrination means communication by a public school employee, public school representative, or guest speaker that compels a person to adopt, affirm, or profess an idea that is in violation of Title VI and Title IX. It also said people of one race, creed, ethnicity, sex, age, and so on, or any other characteristics protected by federal law or state law inherently superior. Or state law are inherently superior or inferior of people of another color, race, creed, and so on, or any characteristics by the federal law. You cannot do that. Like, it's just going on into the law saying that you can't do these things. So like how CRT has been doing this whole demonization of white people and the white contract and all that stuff, you can't do that either, which CRT does. And we know that because they have books showing the children of how evil whiteness is, which is a racist ideology that they're trying to indoctrinate children with.
There's no longer any individual assessment of people. Everything is grouped. But the crazy part of it is, and I think you said this before, we are regressing, going all the way back. And let them, I say, hear me out, let them. I say, well, whoever wants to go and segregate themselves, let them. But here's the thing. I think you let them segregate with no chance of coming back in.
That's right.
Like if this time you want out, you don't ask us for nothing. You don't talk to us. We don't want nothing to do with you no more. And that includes even the sellouts and the coons. We don't want even to have you're not part of the United States. You are now sovereign, and we will deal with you like a foreign entity while on American soil, which means we have the right to revoke your citizenship too. Because if you're not going to abide by the rules of a constitution and the things we've done here, then you're going to make sure that you have your own thing to do it, right? So whatever laws you break, you're going to be treated like a foreign national.
Yeah, and we talked about it backstage, and we said we alluded to almost the same thing Marlon said. Give them what they want. Just give it to them. You want a black city? Here, you can have this land out here. Move, go. Right. But we're not going to help you. We're not going to fund you. We're not going to do anything, but we're giving you this land. You figure out how you're going to create what you're going to create. And when times go,
land. Go find your own land.
Go find it. And then if times get hard, don't come knocking. Don't go
knocking,
911 USA because you asked for this. And this is
Yeah.
this is what they're teaching these kids, segregationism. And they're going to learn the hard way that that doesn't work because you need help from somebody at some point from another race, gender, sexuality, whatever. You're going to need somebody to help you. And what you're teaching them the only people that can help me are black people. And then you're sitting there struggling your whole life, and not one black person has helped you. And you're like, man, I can never, but only black people can help me. While this other black dude who didn't get taught that over there is thriving because he has all types of connections from people from other races. And he learned how to network and use himself. It doesn't change his blackness. It changes his mentality of we're all in this together. I can reach out to anybody, anywhere in the world, from any race, any sex, any gender, and get the help I need. But they don't want that.
Yeah, the only reason any of this exists is because the classes figured out the best way to keep people from revolting against them is to make them base it on race. Because it used to be the class issue forever until recently. Now it's always a race issue. When in reality, it's always a class issue.
Right.
Because it doesn't matter who you are, what color you are. If you have money, you like to kick the ladder out from underneath you to make sure nobody comes up on top. That's how everybody is. Every human on this earth, in competition with each other, love to kick the ladder out. That's just a reality. That is an actual statement of human psychology. We like doing that.
Yeah. In either case, I think the only downsides to the bill that for me, I'm not saying it would be a downside overall. I think with the whole tenure thing with the pay with the teacher, as long as they're doing evaluations, and if you fail as a teacher, you get kicked out, it won't matter because by then you're getting paid what you're getting paid. And I think they need more stringent stuff like that on teachers so they can be held accountable because there are some teachers that cannot teach and should not be teaching, and you should be evaluated based on the crap you do and on the good you do. So if they really put that at the forefront, the same way they evaluate the kids, they need to evaluate the teachers so that you have mutual effort being put in. As long as that's done, I really don't see a problem with the pay raise. Because I think there is an incentive that some teachers will take that if I get paid enough, I'll do my job. There are some people who are built to teach and they won't even need the heft and pay to do their job right. So, but money does help. So.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Accountability needs to start at the educators. I remember again when I was in school, they used to have the parents, teacher, or whatever's the day, and you'd go to school and your parents would come up, they'll show up and sit in your classroom if they were available. They go to class with you to see how these teachers are educating their kids, and they can hold the parents can hold teachers accountable at that point. Right. But there's no accountability. These teachers, and you can't blame a lot of the teachers sometimes because these kids these days are just terrible.
Yeah,
a lot of teachers. Yeah, a lot of teachers just go with the flow. They're just there on autopilot, whatever. Yeah, here you pass, get out of here. They're just trying to get them out of there. So with that tenure thing, if the teachers aren't meeting gates and percentages and grade wise, they get the boot.
Yeah, and I'm down with that. I think we'll just have to see how it pans out. If it works, see if it'll be duplicated. I know it won't be duplicated in blue states. No. Even if it will help their kids because it came from a red state, they won't use it. That's how dumb they are. But
even though she's making minimum payment for teachers $50,000, that's a minimum for 0 years of experience, and then getting rid of tenure for certain teachers that are bad.
But she also said they're making sure that before they come out of college with a teaching degree that they've already been taught how to be productive teachers. So that's, like I said, I have no problem as long as the students are benefiting from the teachers getting paid more. And you're not going to keep a teacher who is trash and pay them more. I don't want that. I think it'll work out perfect if you can monitor teacher performance with pay. If you can do that, I'll be okay with that. But that time will tell. We'll see what happens there. Monday. I think we need to start looking into what this impeachment thing that they've just subpoenaed Hunter to. Did you hear about that?
Oh yeah,
they've been trying to do new subpoenas.
Yeah, so they've issued one to Hunter, and hopefully it'll kick off next week. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
I still
Another
don't
hot
trust.
topic.
I still don't trust the Republicans to do it. So,
No, another hot topic is Davos.
Davos is always a hot topic.
That's another one that just happened.
we just got to be careful with it. You know how YouTube be.
They're just performing their catechisms. That's all. And it's like how we need to help with climate change and people are speaking freely and we need to stop that, that whole business.
But I may or may not be at another Trump rally next Friday in Phoenix.
You better may or may not have better internet. That'd be good.
It was inside, man. I couldn't help it.
So I think what we'd have to do though for that one, we'll make sure we only stream it from the onset of him getting to start to talk, because they struck us for all the music that he played at the event.
Oh,
so I have to go through every time so I have to go through. There are like 8 more I have to do, 8 more sections where I have to tell him mute the song or take it out all the way.
Oh,
because they use copyright music at those rallies for some reason.
Yeah.
So that's what we got to make sure we do. But we can do Davos Monday for sure.
Yeah,
do that. You should bring up Connie's comment, because there's a teaching moment there.
Which one?
The yes Koi one. This is right there.
Yes Koi. Who said it? You got to say who.
Connie.
Yeah. It's pretty funny when you read it out loud.
How high up?
It's not that far.
That one?
There you go. Yeah. This is why we use periods, people. Yes, Koi craps in a pot.
I agree, though. I think he does.
Oh man.
Yes, Koi.
I thought that was funny. Yeah. So it's a yes Koi period. Craps in a pot. That's why punctuation is important and why education is important.
But I like it the way you said it, Connie. That was perfect.
Yeah, that was great.
You fit into the show just splendiferously. If you only knew what the background conversation was like, that'd be perfect. That's hilarious. So in any case, we'll be back on Monday. Well, they will be back on Monday. I told people that I may or may not be back on Monday because of how this weekend is going to transpire, transportation, traveling across a pass full with snow. So I don't know if I'll be back on the better side before Monday. But if I am, I'll be here.
Cal, if we're going to cover that, we'll do it on the hooch. That's more of a thing that we do. If Alec Baldwin did get recharged for that gun on set.
Yeah. Yep, I like that idea too.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll catch up. Don't go anywhere too far from us, okay? Make sure you share all our content so we can get more traction. We're almost to 2K subs. Our goal is to get to 2K. We need to we really should be at 10 by now.
I know. We keep telling you guys to share our stuff.
Share.
And a lot of you guys follow me on Facebook and TikTok and other platforms. I don't see you guys sharing it. Maybe I see Barbara share it. I see Chris share it,
But if y'all can, whatever platform you send it to, send it. But send it. Okay? We want the kind of traction we get on Rumble here too, if possible.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be back Monday. At least the bone structure of the group will be back, if not me. And we'll talk more about Davos. Until then, y'all like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you check out the store for the merch. And we'll see you guys after the weekend. We out. Peace.
Yep.